Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining in another ORCS podcast. And this season is going to be focusing on researchers and PhD scholars who have completed their undergraduation from India and continuing their post graduation or PhD studies internationally. So, this is going to be, yeah, Today we have Ms. Pooja Nandhagopal, and she's currently a PhD candidate at the University of Melbourne under the Optometry and Vision Science Department. And she is going to share her experiences in terms of how she took up the questions there and her journey so far in University of Melbourne. And thank you for joining us today, Ms. Pooja. Over to you. Before I begin the conversation, I would like you to share your undergraduate experience in India, what you did, and a brief about that. Maybe from there we can take it up further. Over to you, Pooja.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for this opportunity. And I'm glad that I can be a small part of such a great initiative that you run. Congratulations for your successful 2 years. And to
Thank you.
begin with, I am Pooja Nandagopal, and I'm currently doing my PhD in the Department of Optometry and Vision Sciences, University of Melbourne. So my optometry journey actually started in the year 2014, where I joined as a Bachelor of Optometry student in Elite School of Optometry. And then after so when I joined the bachelor's, to be really honest, I didn't know what optometry really was, but only during my optometry bachelor's program, I understood what it is and I gained interest towards it. And by the end, I decided, okay, let me do my master's. So I immediately after my undergrad, I I took up doing my master's degree and I joined Manipal Academy of Higher Education to do that, and then I graduated in the year 2020. So after my master's program, I did work as a research optometrist in Shankar Nethralaya for a year, and then again I worked as a junior research fellow in Manipal Academy of Higher Education for another year, and then I came to Melbourne here to do my PhD. So that's a very small, brief background of my optometry journey so far.
Yeah, thank you for that insight. So what kind of work experience did you get during your undergraduation or after graduation? And continuing with that, how did these experience shape your career goals right now at Melbourne?
Yeah, so actually, I think when I was doing my undergrad, there were two aspects. The first thing is the clinical exposure that I got. So it was a very rich clinical exposure. So knowing about different eye condition and also working in different specialities, that was one plus, because understanding the disease and understanding what the patient experience is one thing that will always be a foundation for any research that we do. So that was a very fulfilling experience that I have. And the second thing is that's when my research journey also started as a third year optometry student, where we were supposed to do a research project. But initially starting, I didn't have any idea on how to do research and things like that. But it was very nice when I was giving my presentation that we found such a gap and I found this. So this is the resource of a study, which means that, okay, I have done something. I have actually trying to answer a question which nobody knows. And so that was really that sparked an interest in me to like take up research. So that was a part of compulsory third year project, and by interest I took up another research project during my internship where I worked on contact lenses. So I had interest. So at the end of my undergrad, I developed interest in binocular vision and contact lenses. So by choice, I took binocular vision for my main project, and then I took up contact lenses for doing my additional project. And then it was very nice that I got an opportunity to like go for a conference and then present. So the main interest of research actually came up when I was presenting my research there. things. So I was so happy to do that. Okay, I have found some things, and that's going to help in such a way. So that was one thing. So I think as an undergrad student, every opportunity, everything is an experience, I would say, because our degree is such a thing that though we like to specialize in something, we have experience in everything because we are exposed to all the disease conditions and all the specialities. So somewhere, sometime we would have experienced something. So we are not really freshers in something what we do. So the patient care and also the research thing during my undergrad was very helpful, and that was a foundation for me to be a research scholar now in UNIMEL.
Yeah, that's very nice to hear that you had an opportunity to do two research projects during your undergrad from your third year as well as internship. And I'm glad to know that you had an opportunity as well in terms of presenting somewhere in the conference that triggered the aspect of research in you. And it's nice to hear like it's not that every institute has an open up those opportunities for all the undergraduate students, and you are lucky to have that at your home institute where you did your graduation. So to continue with the research journey, and this might be an interesting question. How many times did you apply for PhD portion before you got into Universe? And can you share some insights on that?
Yes, that's a good question because I tried for almost 2 years to get PhD in UniMel. So I have applied a couple of times, but I was very sure that I wanted to get in Australia, but I don't know why. But that was my interest. And but I think the time I applied was also a bit tricky because I applied in 2020, which was a peak COVID first wave thing where all the borders were closed, and Australia was particularly very strict about opening the borders and things. And the second thing was when I applied PhD, I didn't apply. Most of the PhD position I applied was to supervisors who had a fund to take a PhD student and not as university scholarship things. So because of that, they also had some time deadlines so that they cannot hold the fund for a longer period because the situation was so uncertain that we don't know when the borders will close or when the borders will open or when we will be able to do it and things like that. So it went like that. So almost like 1.5 years after I started applying, I got PhD in UniMel. But it was good because once the borders are opened and people started vaccinating and stuff, I got it very quickly. So yeah.
So apart from the COVID-19, gentlemen, what other key challenges you faced while you draft the application, or how did you communicate with the university? You're as an international student, you're being from India. So can you share some points on that?
Yes. So one thing I was very sure that is was that I have to do PhD abroad. So that thing was I was really strong. But then to decide on how to decide or where to go, should I decide based on the country where I have to go, or should I decide based on the university I want to work, or should I decide based on the supervisor or the field that I was really looking to work was a bit tricky because then because I had interest in binocular vision and contact lenses during my undergraduate days. But then during postgrad, when I was exposed to neuroscience and then when I was exposed to psychophysics and things, then I felt, okay, why not try this? So it was altogether a big confusion and like whether which one should I really take up. But then I had my mentors and my seniors who guided me through the process of application. So they first told me, okay, what you wanted to do, where you wanted to do, to start um, filtering out from a very broad aspect of I wanted to do PhD. Okay, now, okay, you wanted to do PhD. What is the next step? So they were all there to guide me through the process of doing it. And one thing I was very sure was that I will do PhD under a good supervisor because we know PhDs are all ups and downs. But I believe that if you have a good supervisor, then the PhD can be a little smooth. Though we have ups and downs, it can take it. care of. So then my my seniors also guided me is like first learn science, learn to do research under a good supervisor. And once you're very strong enough in doing an independent research, you can translate it to any field that you wish to work. So I think I took up that because if you see my research experience, I have stepped into everything. It's not that I was going only towards one thing. I worked in myopia and binocular vision in third year, then contact lenses in my master's, again contact lenses and microbiology. And then I worked in eye movements. So it was a kind of different fields, but the only thing I was focusing was to learn a good research, to learn science. And I believe if I can do an independent research, then I can translate it to all the things. So first thing was finding a supervisor was challenging. Then I figured out, okay, my goal is going to be apart from country, apart from university, I'm going to choose a good supervisor so that I can learn and I can do. And then I started applying through the processes, like first writing an email, then SOPs, cover letters, interviews, again facing interviews, doing a lot of research about the potential supervisors lab, what are they currently working on, and things like that. And it happened.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned about learning science first in terms of understanding the research and identifying a supervisor to have your PhD in a smoother way. So I believe I had excellent supervisors during my PhD time, though there were a lot of obstacles in terms of COVID, getting married, and then having some personal issues. So I could complete it with a fruitful smile because having a nice environment as an university where I did PhD, as well as having a good supervisor who is going to listen to you in all aspects. So with that, you have identified your supervisor, got into Australia in your marriage. So how did you really adjust to the life as an international student at Australia?
I think my transition phase was really smooth because I had a lot of my seniors here. Really, really blessed to have everyone there because I was a person who didn't even travel within the state, but I was forced to like go to a different country out of my own interest. I wanted to do, but it's all like I haven't stepped out of my thing comfort zone, but I have come to an altogether a new country, new culture, and things like that. But I was so lucky to have my seniors who were there right from picking me up from the airport to allowing me to stay with them until I find the accommodation. And then my seniors did go and inspect houses for me to like stay. So I got help from my seniors actually very lucky in terms of that. And also once during the application process also they helped me a lot because they know the ground reality of how the supervisors expect what they expect, how my email has to be and how my SOP has to be. So they know the ground reality of the supervisors expectations, so they gave me a few tips on like you write like this so that at least you will get a response from the supervisor if you write it in this way. So I think my transition was really smooth. Until now, I'm happy being in a different country because I have my people here to help me. So yeah.
Yeah, it's good to
So I
know that
would
you
suggest
yeah,
yeah, I would
yeah.
suggest if in case we are traveling to any country, a new place, it's always better to talk to people there because they know the ground reality. If you're getting a stipend, they know okay is how feasible for you the stipend is for you to actually survive, and what are the expected expenditure that we will have, and what how can we find a part-time job and things like that. So I think talking to people who are experiencing the similar situation will be really helpful.
Yeah, thanks for bringing up the point of stipend. So, do you many people think they when they travel abroad, even for PhD or any postdoc position, and they can have a lavish life and having fun. Can you share some key points? Who thinks okay, going abroad is fun, and we can save a lot of money from the stipend? Is it
Yeah.
really true or a myth? Can you put some words on that?
I think it is because the stipend that I am currently getting is very good enough for a single person to survive.
Mm,
So as far as me, if I don't have any commitments back in India, and if I don't have any commitments here, then it's
yeah.
definitely sufficient for us to take care of our living. Definitely sufficient for us to save a little bit of money as well. But if in case you have a commitment, then I would say it is not that you can save a lot, you can give a lot, and things like that. If that is the thing, then we'll have to look for an extra income either by tutoring or like uh, doing some other part-time job or things. But definitely, as a single person without any commitment, it is really a good pay. You can take care of yourself. But one more thing we'll have to think is that the in Australia, the stipend is only for 3 years or 3.5 years, depending on the university scholarship that you get. So if that is the case, then we will have to somehow fight to finish within 3 and 3.5 years. Otherwise, you will run out of money and you will have to see what you have to do for your living. So that's the important thing.
Okay, that's nice. So, moving on to the next set of questions, like, can you share what you do as your research project right now? It may not be a complete result, maybe just express what you're doing and what motivated you to choose those topics. Can you share some points on that?
Yes. So now I'm currently working on an aspect called motion segmentation. So, for example, we'll take a scenario of driving. So when we drive, we have a lot of things that are moving in our environment. So we have a lot of trees moving, signboards, you have the other vehicles, shops, and everything moving. But suddenly, if something is popping out in front of your car, you are just stopping it. So the aspect of identifying or segmenting that small object, irrespective of the things that are moving in the background, is called as motion segmentation. So we are segmenting a small moving object in the big moving background. So I'm looking at this particular part, which is called as a motion segmentation, and then I'm seeing it how it is when we look straight with our central vision and when we look through our side vision. Because we know anatomically and neurophysiologically, the processing are different between the central vision and the side vision. So we are seeing how it is changing. Is it changing or is it still the same? And the other aspect is we believe that identifying motion in the periphery is even more important in cases of driving or anything because that gains our attention and then helps us to take the necessary actions. So that is one thing. And the second aspect of that of my PhD is that I'm looking at what happens with healthy aging because we know that as we age there are certain visual functions that deteriorates. So we are seeing whether if motion segmentation deteriorates or it remains the same, or if it is deteriorating, then how much is the deterioration and things like that. So, as far as at this stage of PhD, I don't have the results as such because we have collected, but we are still doing analysis and things like that. But this is the overall aim of my PhD, and this is what I'm working on.
That's excellent. So, I'm looking forward towards your key publications from your research. So, moving
Sure.
on to the couple of questions on your, like, how what advises towards research scholars who wants to pursue as a research as a career. Can you share some essential qualities to become a successful research scholar, be it during your undergraduate time? So, I understand you had an opportunity of doing research during undergraduate program. So apart from doing just the research, can you share some other qualities or research skills they can develop so that they can face the world of research without any difficulty?
Yeah, I think there are key skills. Apart from the research skills, there are few other skills like time management and the resilience. Because if you take research as a career, it is never ending. Even if you take PhD, we will think, okay, starting PhD, getting a PhD is a big task. But then once after getting into PhD, you realize, okay, if you come to abroad, you have something called confirmation seminar where your candidature get confirmed after 1 year of your work. So we'll think, okay, once I finish that, then definitely I'm a PhD student. So every time you get challenges, and PhD is a long process where you will have to face through a lot of things like procrastination, imposter syndrome, and everything. So if you are good in time management, and if you have the resilience to like come up, okay, whatever it is, I have chosen to do PhD, or I have chosen research as my career, so I have to do, then I think whatever the skill is, we will keep learning through the process of doing it, because we'll have our guides, we'll have our supervisors, seniors, friends. So somehow, if we have the motivation to like, okay, I have stepped in, I will finish it, then I think that drive will help us to learn all the research skills that are required. But remembering that research is never ending, we'll face a lot of rejections, lots of feedbacks, critical comments, and everything. But based on that, if we feel we can survive through that, I think we can learn everything. And PhD is not like other coursework, or research is not like other things where we have like, okay, I have an exam on this day, I finish the exam, I pass, I get a degree. So it is like you have 3 years. So when we start, we will think, okay, I have 3 years. But then after 1.5 years, you'll be like, what did I do for the 1.5 years? And I have still only 1.5 years to finish. And being an international student, you will also have a pressure that stipend will stop in 3 years. So I have to somehow rush it. So if you can manage your time correctly from the first year of your candidature to the end, then I think you can overcome all these unnecessary stress, and then you can finish it comparatively smoothly. So the first thing is time management, and the second thing is resilience. If you have that, then you can master any skill that you wanted to do or you wanted to gain during your research career.
That's nice. So time management is the major key, and I hope whoever is listening to this part of podcast, and you should remember time management is the key for any be it
Anything.
PhD, yeah, be it anything. So coming to the last final, I remember you said you also do some options of doing tutoring and being a teaching assistant. Can you share some aspects on that? What exactly you do that, and how is it different from Indian scenario, teaching international tax students or OD students over there
Yeah.
in Australia?
Yeah, so here, so in India, as far as I have seen, teaching is a part of a PhD thing. So we consider they might have like a few hours of teaching in their PhD program, but as far as University of Melbourne is concerned, it's not like that. So if you are teaching, then it's completely outside your PhD thing, and you will get a formal contract as a tutor and everything, and you get paid for whatever how many hours you teach. So and the other thing is, I think content wise everything are same, but only the few aspects like recording or the cultural differences, because in India certain things we don't take it very sensitively, but here there are certain things that they see it very sensitive. So understanding that cultural difference, we can't be the same teacher in India, and we can't be the same kind of a person here when we teach. So understanding that particular cultural differences is actually important. But otherwise, in optometry, whatever I studied is the same thing that I'm delivering here as well. Only that cultural thing and the ethical aspects of different countries varies, and the practices, certain things we are allowed to do and certain things we are not allowed to do. So all those basic structures, if we can understand, and if we can learn that, then I think it's going to be the same. And we don't have any compulsory thing that you have to tutor for this and things like that. So I think that's different from India and here.
Okay, that's nice. So coming to the last couple of questions, uh, do you have thought of any future plans after completing PhD, and what do you think the future of optometry research, be it in India or Australia, from your perspective as a grad student at Melbourne?
Yeah. So I would say I actually wanted to become a teacher. So I am so passionate to get into academia, and that's the reason why, first of all, I chose to do masters and then I chose to do PhD. Because if I am a teacher, I believe I should be equipped in all aspects, so I can deliver it to my students and then I can bring them. So my main aim is to become an academician. So optometry faculty basically. So that's my future plan after PhD. And the second thing about talking about the future of optometry research, it's really promising because especially in this era where we have a lot of technological aspects and a lot of interdisciplinary research that are going through, optometrists are not just restricting to eye things. So we are broadening our scope, we are broadening everything, and as a optometrist, we have a lot of scope in detecting a systemic disease or life-saving disease just by looking at the eye aspects. So I think the future is really amazing because, especially with interdisciplinary collaboration and technology, there are a lot of things to explore. I think it's going to be a fruitful journey if you take research as a career, basically. But the only thing is resilience and time management, because if it's a PhD student, you know that okay, you have to do because you need to get a doctorate, you have enrolled in a doctoral program. But basically, if you're not doing a PhD but still you're a academician or you're still there, you'll have to juggle between a lot of things, like you have to teach, you have to see clinics, patients, you have to do research, you have to write for grants to sustain that thing. So there are a lot of things in your plate. So unless we have that perseverance, resilience, and time management skills, if we have that, then definitely it's a very fruitful journey to go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Pooja, for sharing your all your thoughts and insights with our audience. And we will meet everybody in another podcast. Have a fruitful research journey to you, Pooja, as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.